get started. It's 6:30 here. Is it 6:30 there?
In my time zone it is.
Okay. We'll call a meeting to order. We do have a quorum. Cheyenne, are you available?
I am. Can y'all hear me?
Okay, yes, I can hear you now. So we will start. Charles, will you lead the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yes, thank you. Stand, salute. I pledge allegiance to the United States of America, to the republic, to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with justice and justice.
You're fine. Thank you very much. And Cheyenne is going to lead our invocation. Barrett, I don't think there was someone lined up. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Cheyenne is our, will lead the invocation tonight. Thank you, Cheyenne.
Okay, that was me. Heavenly Father, I just want to thank you so much for this beautiful day, and I thank you for the grace that you've given our leadership in this district to lead in a time like this. And I just want to thank you for giving us the people that you have. I just pray that you would continue to give them wisdom to make these difficult decisions, and I pray that as we make decisions tonight, that you would be a part of every decision that we make. We just ask that you continue to watch over our community and our children, and I pray that they would be able to grow and thrive in a time that is a little bit confusing. We just thank you for that you're God and that you're in charge. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Cheyenne and Charles. Thank you. And now David will read the mission.
Oh, sorry.
I'll look, but they moved it. Hang on.
There it is. Sorry.
There it is. Okay. The mission of Gatesville ISD, a portal to limitless possibilities, is to empower our students to be life-ready knowledge seekers and problem solvers by instilling leadership, innovation, integrity, critical thinking, and service through challenging and engaging learning experiences, facilitated by passionate teachers and supported by caring parents and community members.
Thank you very much, David.
You're welcome.
Barrett, were there any public comments emailed to you?
No, I probably need to read my little statement though.
Okay.
On March 16th, Governor Greg Abbott granted a request by Attorney General Ken Paxton to temporarily suspend a limited number of open meetings laws to the extent necessary to allow telephonic or video conference meetings in response to COVID. In accordance with those suspended rules, we certified that notice of this meeting has been posted online for 72 hours. Although the members of the board are not gathered in a central physical location, we do have a quorum in attendance at this meeting by video conference. We're using Zoom and live streaming software. Audience members may email comments to the open comment section to bpollard@gatesvillisd.org, which allows for two-way communication for members of the public. For members of the public who have submitted written comments in advance, I would read the comments in the open comments section or during the board's consideration of that item. If you'd like to provide a comment at a future meeting conducted by video conference, just follow those instructions on the meeting notice. All of the meeting procedures will adhere to board adopted procedures to the extent practical. An audio video recording of this meeting is being made available to the public at a later date, just like we do with all other board meetings, and we apologize in advance for any unforeseen technological difficulties and ask for your patience as we navigate through these unprecedented conditions. And Marianne, I've looked at my email. I don't see anything right now. If anything pops up, I'll let you guys know.
Okay. Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda? Any questions? Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second it.
Okay, Brenda made the motion and David seconded it. Any questions? Okay, all those in favor to our information items, and Barrett, I think you're up.
Yes, I included just kind of a overall summary of where we're at here at the end of the year to give everybody an update. First of all, graduation filming. We did that a couple weeks ago now, and it went very well. We took 3 nights, and one night it was real hot, one night it was real windy, but we got through it, and all the students got reported that showed up and their families, and it went very smoothly. And so the big event is this Thursday. Right before the meeting, I previewed the final footage of the graduation video. It looked real good. Turned out really well. Valedictorian, salutatorian, all the kids gave prayers. It came together very nicely. And so I'm hoping that the families enjoy it. Of course, it's not as good as the real thing, but it's at least something until July 24th. So this Thursday at 8:30 at the drive-in, that's the big night. And so we're excited about that. We've been communicating with the parents, and the seniors will kind of line up that evening at the primary, and we'll have a police escort to the drive-in. The film is only about 1 hour and 8 minutes long, so it's not real lengthy, and they'll watch it, and then we'll get them out of there safely too. I think Chief Gilkey's going to stop traffic both ways so they can get out that night and make it safer for everybody. A couple other just kind of year-end things. Feeding. Boy, our cafeteria folks have sure worked hard. We've had a lot of hard-working volunteers that have helped with the meal program, and our current system's going to keep going through June 30th, kind of the way it is right now, with the exception of the at-home deliveries. That finished this past Friday. We had a lot of folks from churches, First Baptist, and some other churches that really stepped up and had a solid group of volunteers that volunteered every week to go to people's homes and deliver food for basically families that were shut in. And they did a great job, but we got all the schoolwork to them and returned from them, and then they also got the meals, and so we felt like Friday was a good day to finish that off, because those volunteers were getting tired. That was a big job. So if you know someone who volunteered, make sure you thank them. Third thing there, assignments and grades. This Monday was the day that we asked all the kids to get all their assignments in, and we had a big rush of assignments come in today, and so the teachers have been working on grading, and we've been trying to keep the kids working every week, and so hopefully now most kids should be done. They should have all their work in, and it should be done for the school year. Of course, there'll be a percentage of kids that maybe didn't do anything, and so we'll have to look at what they'll need to do as far as summer school and credit recovery and all that sort of thing, but we're hoping that's a small percentage, but we'll just work with those kids as they come up. Personal items. Today was the start of another big day of the students coming up and getting their personal items from the campuses. So if I had my school supplies, my lunchbox, my backpack, you came up today and you got all of it. And the teachers have done a good job of getting it all in one spot, and you just kind of drive up and you get it. The band kids were starting to return their instruments today, and so we're trying to make one last exchange where we return anything of the kids, and they return anything that was a library book or something of ours, and so that way they'll be ready for summer. Office hours, we're going to try to start a little bit more normal schedule Tuesday after Memorial Day, and so we'll have a lot of our secretaries, administrative assistants up at the campuses working and answering phones and emails. have summer school, Greg Abbott came on today and gave some more updates about how well he's going to open it up more to where he's more receptive to traditional summer school, and he's more receptive to kids coming and working out as long as it's not in a closed air gym or weight room. So they're trying to open things back up, but then there's still a lot of stipulations. And so we've got to take time to read through everything that he said today and kind of how UIL and TDA are interpreting it. But it is silver lining as far as things trying to get back to normal and being cautious and safe, but also trying to get things going again. Professional development, there's been a lot of things that even our poor school board members are having to do now, from cybersecurity training to some of these other things that just kind of came out of the blue. They're not difficult per se, but they are a little bit time consuming and they start to add up. You know, they say, well, just do this little training. Well, now do this little training, you know, and it all adds up. So I'm appreciative of you guys going in there and knocking those out. I know they're a nuisance, but we're trying to get those completed as well. And then finally, as far as next year, you know, we'll be spending the summer months looking at kind of how we'll return in the fall, and hopefully COVID will continue to decline, and hopefully things will continue to open up, and we have a pretty normal return. TDA came out with a couple of different schedule options last week, and I kind of sent out a memo at one point to folks just saying, look, we have not done any thinking about next year's calendar as far as changes because we're just trying to get through graduation. We want to make sure that Thursday goes well, and we'll start looking at what TDA has put out here recently, but you know, I don't anticipate a lot of huge wholesale changes, but we'll look at what they're proposing, and nothing by them is mandatory. It's just recommendations from TDA, so we'll see what they have to say, but that in a nutshell is kind of what's been going on the last few weeks, and how we're trying to finish things up at the school. And Friday will be officially the last day, but like I said, most kids should be done today. They should have had all their work turned in and are kind of on summer vacation now. Did y'all have any questions? That wasn't an action item, but definitely open to any discussion or questions you might have.
I do. Does will the repair work on the field, on the turf, on the field, will that interfere in any way with the July 24th plans? Or should it be done by then?
It should be done by then. I texted John Currents, our AstroTurf rep. He's difficult to get a hold of, but I told him, I asked him, I said, I've got to have a response from you. Will you be able to avoid that graduation? He said, yes, we can definitely avoid that. And I'm pressing him to really, best case scenario would be to start almost nearly right after Memorial Day. That would be ideal. Just go ahead and get it done. But we'll see. He's supposed to email me a schedule of when he thinks we'll be out here to take off that layer of carpet, put underneath the pad, and put a new layer down. And then we're going to use every piece of that old carpet. We've already got ideas on where we want to put it. And so we want to reuse every bit of it. And that's going to be another good project. Hopefully get that here soon.
Did we get the 2000 state champions? Did they put that in the white outline of the field anywhere or no?
No, it was gonna, I think, I don't know, I got an uneasy feeling about their ability to do a bunch of new different things and also the cost. And so he said if I just replicate what's on there now, he said it stays the same as far as price. And so Ricky has reached out to a different company, and luckily Ricky's on here,
22 senior student athletes tonight that have earned academic all-state honors. And their honors have come from different organizations: the Texas High School Coaches Association, the Texas Girls Coaches Association, Texas High School Women's Powerlifting Association, and Texas Hoops Incorporated. It's always nice to recognize, a lot of our kids are mentioned in their athletic endeavors, but our big push first is academics always. And we've got 22 seniors tonight that have earned, not just all district stuff, but academic all-state. And those seniors are Bailey Armstrong, Brady Bernard, Miles Barnes, Sage Blackman, David Bryan, Cameron Byram, Katie Ferguson, Tyler Godfrey, Luke Gregory, Kaylin Ham, Molly Hogan, Katie James, Alex Leon, McKenna McLaughlin, Jordan Morse, Cindy Mikowski, Madeline Reiki, Madison Schultz, Lauren Stevens, Katrina Toms, Jill Truss, and Elena Washington. And a lot of these, half of these are not just on GPA. These have to do with ACT, SAT testing, and there's more to it than just making the honor roll. So it's a big deal for our kids. We always want to recognize our kids, their performance in the academic setting as well as in athletics.
Thank you, Ricky. That's wonderful to have them honored, and they've worked hard for that. We appreciate you coming in and telling us all the names. Any comments or questions from anybody?
I do. Ricky, I enjoyed watching the presentation you had on Facebook for each of them.
Thank you. That's been, we looked at several ways of honoring our seniors. Some of our sports, especially our fall sports, had banquets back after their seasons were over. Our winter sports, our spring sports, of course, missed out. So some of those have had some online banquets. We needed to do something to recognize our seniors. Honestly, we had a year-end, just kind of all-inclusive, recognition deal for our athletic program. And at that time, we would have done that. But I appreciate that. We've gotten a lot of good response from that. We still have a few more kids to go to recognize.
That's great. Anybody else? Thank you, Ricky, for that information. And now Mr. Frazier is going to show us the preliminary 2020 property taxable values, which have been released. Mr. Frazier? I don't hear you. Yes.
Okay, sorry about that.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Ms. Lee. The preliminary property tax values were released in late April by the Coryell and Bell counties, which affects our school district. And it's on these property values that our money will be based for the 2020-2021 school year. In a nutshell, the values went up by $35 million, which is almost a 4% increase, which is less than what I anticipated, due to the fact that our assessor's office was having pressure to increase the property values to stay up with what the state controller would like for them to be. So at this point, it's a 4% increase, and we will have the INS rate go up by 9 cents this year due to the bond election. So that will combine to about 11.6% increase in the tax levy. On page 59 and 60 of your board book, I have the actual notifications from the two tax appraisal districts. And starting on page 61 is a chart, internal chart that we prepared. Kind of gives us a histogram going all the way back to 2011 of the preliminary taxable values. And you'll see there on page 61 a number of different things like certified property net taxable, certified freeze, actual tax frozen, the tax rate, And, as you know, the tax rate will be compressed again by a penny. For next year, that rate has not been released by TEA at this point. Then on the flip side, on the next page, we have the total tax levy estimate, and then we have that tax levy split out by M&O and INS. Late July is when we'll get a final notice, and they call it the certified values from the tax appraisal office, and it's on those property values then that our tax levy will be based. So this is the first indication as to what our property values are going to do for our school districts next year. Any questions, ladies and gentlemen?
On line 24, there was a percentage change. That is in the total tax levy. That's very over 10%.
On line 24,
Yes, sir.
10.33. I think I indicated 11.16 in the board
And
book.
total increase on the property taxes that's assessed.
Right. So again, that's depending on what TEA does with our M&O rate. They haven't officially said it at this point, but we know it's going to go down.
And your tax values will go down some because people are gonna appeal, so it'll be a little bit less. So,
The appraisal district did do a fairly conservative prediction of these values, so he probably has a lot of those built into these numbers in terms of the objectives that they're going to have, the protests. Anything else?
Thank you, Mr. Frazier.
You're welcome.
Ms. Scott Harper will talk about the sale of school surplus items.
On your board package, you should have received a list and even pictures of items that are surplus that we want to put out for sealed bid. I don't know if you had any questions about those items, but the recommendation is just to approve advertising these surplus items for sealed bids. At this time, we'll advertise, get bids in, and then we'll come back to you with the high bid, and we'll have another action item at that time to award the different items to the high bid.
The recommendation is to approve the advertising of the surplus items for sealed bids, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Is there a motion for that recommendation?
I'll make the motion.
All
Charles,
second.
okay,
Yes.
Diane seconded, Charles, made the motion and Cheyenne seconded. Any questions? Okay, all those in favor, say yes.
yes,
Yes.
Any
Yes.
opposed? Any opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks, Harper. Mr. Frazier, you're gonna have to come back up and talk about TRS active care rates.
Right. See it. That's okay with me.
Okay, you can do that.
All right, so we received the renewal rates for group health insurance next year, and they range from a $130 cut to $238 increase in the monthly premium, which turns out to be a negative 7.6%, all the way up to a 10% increase. If you take all the premiums put together, we're looking at about $2.4 million in healthcare costs for the school district. We're projecting about $900,000 of that being paid by the employees, and 1.4 and a half paid by the school district. So it's a sizable chunk of change, and the increases actually were pretty favorable. We had some pretty favorable increases last year, if you recall. Like, I think it was the first time we actually had decreases. We have some employees again this year who will experience a decrease in their premiums. If you look at the chart on page 69, you guys have access to that pretty handy. There's a lot of numbers on this chart, but I'd like to give you more numbers than too few. Down the left side of the page, we have different plans that we offer our employees. Like the Scott and White, the First Care, Active Care Primary, Active Care HD, Active Care 2, and Active Care Primary Plus. We have 3 years that are presented here, 2018-19, which was last year, 2019-20, which is our current school year, and 2020-2021, which will be next year. There's some changes to these plans. One is that the First Care and Scott and White have combined into one plan. So now we're not showing any rates for First Care. We're showing the combined group for Scott and White. You'll see the number of participants under 2020-2021. We've estimated that all of the ones, of course, in First Care will go over to Scott and White. Some may jump onto another plan, but assuming they stay on that, we'll have 215 of our 306 employees who are covered by health insurance on that plan. So you're talking about 70% of our participants will be on the Scott and White plan. Last year, maybe a couple years ago, the Active Care HD came out, which is the high deductible, and this was the least, most affordable, least cost plan that we were offering to our employees. And actually, we had pegged the employer contribution to the employee-only rate for that Active Care HD. So if you'll see there that we have started out with 367 in 18-19, and then we went to 378 for the employer contribution. That 378 represented the employee-only coverage for HD, high deductible. And next year, it's going up $19 to $397. So the recommendation that will be before you tonight, in keeping with what we've done in the past, is to make the employer contribution equal to the least affordable or the most affordable, or least cost plan, employee only. So if you look at your chart, now there's a new plan called Active Care Primary, and its cost will be $386 a month, which is a $6 increase, $8 increase, excuse me, on 306 employees. The cost to the district would be about $30,000 for us to increase the employer contribution from 378 to 386, where we can still say that we provide employee-only coverage for the most affordable plan that we offer. The most affordable plan next year will not be the HD plan. It will be the Active Care Primary at 386.
What the basic difference in the two plans is? Are there a lot of difference in them?
I provided you those comparisons on page, let's see, I guess that would be page 72, 74, the workbook, and I'll go over it. Actually, the one that has a real nice summary is on page 74 of the workbook, and at the top it says TRS, Active Care, what's new and what's changing. And if I look at the bottom of that page, it shows a chart at a glance. It shows the HD plan in the middle, and we have almost 80 people now on that plan. So that plan has grown in participation. Another caveat is that the HSA plan, which is Health Savings account, a lot of our employees take, which is independent from the cafeteria plan. To take the health savings account option, you are required to take the HD plan of coverage. So you'll see on here that HSA is not eligible for the primary or the primary plus. The primary is a new low-cost going away. But they are still maintaining it for those that are on the plan. It's just that no new participants may elect Active Care 2. We don't have very many on Active Care 2, only three people in our group are taking Active Care 2. One of the big differences is that right there. So those that are on the HD plan, many of them no doubt are taking an HSA option. They will no longer be able to take the HSA option unless they pay for this plan themselves. Now, that plan will cost them $11 a month. Some of the payable deductions you can see there on that column. For instance, the HD plan is 20% copay for generic drugs after 20% deductible, whereas the primary is now 15 or 45. One of the big differences to me also is that you see that the primary plan and the primary plus are only for a state network, and the HD plan is a nationwide network. So if you have only a statewide network, if you go out of state, or if you're out of state and you get sick, and you have to use medical facilities, those are probably not going to be covered. They'll be out of network for sure, and the cost will be much, much higher. So that's an advantage of the HD plan, is that it does have a nationwide network, and it's not restricted to just statewide. I think those are probably basically the primary differences. Several of these sheets explain that in greater detail. After I saw that the HD plan was more expensive, and realized that those that are taking HSA accounts will no longer be able to do so. If they opt out for the primary, now, like I say, the HD plan will start costing them $11 a month for the full coverage only. Any other questions?
In the past, we've always provided the most economic plan to cover the employee. So basically, the school is paying for the employee's insurance, employee only, under the Active Care primary. We're allotting that amount of money for each employee.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, it would have been another $12, I guess, $11, $12, and about $70,000 to maintain our rate at the HD level. The one that we're proposing tonight is $386, and that's still going to cost about $30,000 to the school district to provide that benefit. Many of the employees, if you'll see on page 69 again, off to the right where it shows you the increases and decreases, you'll see like the first care, all those folks mostly will have a decrease in their premiums. So will the Scott and White folks who are on employee only. And Active Care Primary Plus, they'll have a decrease in their premiums. There's not that many. We have about 9 people taking that plan, which is now called Active Care Select. I've given you at the bottom of page 69 the total annual increases for the last 3 years. So you'll see there, for instance, on 2018, 2019, our annual increase that year was $131,000, or 5%. Last year, so we had a pretty nice decrease in our overall premiums, went down over $200,000, or 8.6% decline. And this next year, they're actually going to go down about $5,000, or 0.2%. And then on the back of that sheet, I'm giving you a recap of the changes. Let's see here. I've already mentioned all those changes. And then you have a recap of the annual health care premiums, how it's split between employees and employer. So employee premiums will actually go down, all told, 8.5%. Our for an overall 0.2% reduction in healthcare premiums. I'll entertain any questions.
We always hear a lot of comments on this particular deal.
Yes.
Got a $12 raise and the insurance went up $25. But it is what it is. It's out of our control.
Yeah, to peg it, if we tried to stay up with the HD, that's gonna cost us $7,000. If we wanna stay up with the HD. So I felt more conservative. Conservative approach would be to propose that we go to that new active care primary at $386 a month.
And that's your recommendation for us to raise the employee contribution to $386?
Yes, son.
Okay. Is there a motion for that recommendation?
No,
Is there a motion? Rob makes a motion, is there a second?
I'll second it, Linda.
Linda will second, Rob made the motion, Linda seconded. Any other questions for Mr. Frazier? Okay, all those in favor, say yes.
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 Any opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Frazier, and you want to speak about the selection of the audit firm for, this year?
Yes, I will. Included in your board packet is what we call the audit engagement letter. It's pretty detailed, like 6 pages long. I don't expect you to read all of that. Basically, you were proposing again at Lot Vernon and Company out of the Temple office. Conducts our audit for this year, which is 2019-2020, or the August 31, 2020 balance sheet. Their fee is projected to be $23,750, which is slightly above last year. The last couple years, there have been additional requirements on the auditors for schools and other things that has put a greater burden on their staff. It requires more work on their part. So this is actually a pretty small increase from what it was last year. It was 22.5 last year. Let's see, in my little summary that I put in your board book, I indicate we selected this firm in 2017, and we had proposed that we do a review of these firms every 5 years. And this will be their, year 4, I think, coming up?
That's what it says for.
4, yeah, year 4 coming up. So then we'll have like one more on this 5-year cycle. And then after that, we would, more than likely, if you're approved, go back to submitting an RFQ for the selection of our audit company. So we're proposing, management's proposing that we engage Lot Vernon and Company for the audit of our August 31, 2020 annual report.
I'll make that motion. Brenda.
Brenda made the motion, is there a second?
Cheyenne. Second.
Cheyenne will second. So it was Brenda and Cheyenne. Any questions? Any other questions? Okay, all those in favor, please say yes.
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 Any opposed? None opposed. Okay, motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Frazier.
Thank you.
Now, you're back.
Oh, okay.
The date for the proposed 2020-2021 board budget and tax rate workshop.
Right. So here tonight, we want to set a couple dates for the budget process this coming summer. And we usually hold a budget workshop maybe a week or 10 days before the final meeting where the board is approving the tax rates and the budget for the coming school year. So we're recommending that we set a date of Monday, August the 10th at 5:30 p.m., which is 1 week prior to the board's regular August meeting. This will satisfy the requirements in terms of how soon you have to get this out and published in the newspaper. We're planning on having a notice in the newspaper on Saturday, August the 15th. So you might want to talk about the format or that date specifically for your workshop. Yes, Rob?
I don't understand why you call it a workshop. It's a presentation. There's no work. We used to have more workshops, a budget workshop, but there's no workshop to it anymore.
With everybody?
Not on our part.
Does the date work for everybody?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm good.
We'll see. Okay. Okay, so Mr. Frazier recommends setting the date for the, annual board proposed budget and tax rate workshop for Monday, August 10th, 2020, 5:30, 1 week prior to the board's regular August meeting. Is there a motion for that recommendation?
I'll make a motion.
Brenda, made the motion,
Yes.
is there a second? Who?
Second.
So Cheyenne made seconded the motion. Are there any questions or comments? Okay, all those in favor say yes.
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 Any opposed? Any opposed? Okay, that goes on our calendars, August 10th.
Very good. And we did set 5:30, which is a little earlier start, Rob, so that you'll have more time to ask questions and review the numbers, review the assumptions. We'll stay as late as you want that night.
All right,
Questions?
that sounds exciting.
It is. It's always exciting for me.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
It is. Budget's important. Okay, Mr. Frazier, one more meeting you want to talk about?
Yes, okay, now this is the public meeting. We discussed the upcoming budget and we set the tax rates for the following year. We're proposing that this particular meeting be held on Thursday, August 27th, 2020. I haven't set a time. I think we normally do that one at 6:30. So this is the actual official hearing. And then at least 10 days prior to this, we have to have a notice in the paper. So we put the notice in the paper on the 8th of August, and that'll give us plenty of time.
You're recommending for the public hearing to be on Thursday, August 27th, and no time set yet. Right?
Right.
I think he said 6:30.
6:30? Okay.
That's what he said, if y'all agree with that.
Okay.
6:30.
6:30, good for everybody?
Yes.
All right. You want that in the recommendation?
Yes, please.
Okay.
That way it's,
So is there a motion for that recommendation for the public hearing? I'll make it.
Motion.
I'll make the motion. All right, Linda made the motion. Who's second? Is there a second? I'll second it. Linda made the motion and I seconded it. Okay, any questions? Okay, all those in favor say yes, please.
Yes.
Yes.
You just say 6
Any
p.m.?
opposed?
6:30.
I think it's 6:30.
Okay,
6:30.
Yep. Okay.
that's more better.
So, motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Bear, we've kind of left you out of all this. Are you there?
That's the way I planned it. I've been watching football. No, I